The studio lights blazed across the sleek set of Greg Gutfeld's late-night show, their glow bouncing off polished desks and glistening cameras. The crowd murmured with anticipation as rumors swirled online. Tonight's episode was going to be explosive. Even before the opening credits finished rolling, viewers across the country leaned closer to their screens, sensing something was about to happen that no one would forget. The tension was electric, like the air before a thunderstorm. And at the center of it all stood two names everyone recognized, Greg Gutfeld and Howard Stern. Howard Stern, long known as the king of all media, walked onto the stage with the casual swagger of a man who'd dominated radio and television for decades. Yet behind his dark sunglasses and confident smile, there was an uneasiness he tried to mask. He had built a career on controversy, boundary pushing, and exposing others, but tonight felt different. Gutfeld's team had been teasing a special segment all week, and the word exposed kept surfacing on social media. Howard had been in enough battles to know when someone was coming for him, but he also knew the show's reach was massive. He couldn't back down. Greg Gutfeld started off with playful banter, joking about Howard's legacy and larger-than-life persona, but quickly shifted into a sharper tone. "Howard," Greg said, his eyes narrowing, "you've always claimed to be a man of the people, but recently, your actions tell another story." The crowd went silent, sensing a pivot. Greg pulled up a series of clips, old interviews, contradictory statements, and behind-the-scenes footage. Each clip played like a hammer striking an anvil. Howard's past comments about humility, authenticity, and integrity contrasted with moments where he appeared to betray those very values. The tension grew so thick you could almost hear Howard's composure cracking. Howard tried to deflect with humor, as he always had. He leaned back, arms folded, and delivered one of his trademark sarcastic quips. But the audience wasn't laughing. The camera panned across the crowd, some looked shocked, some thrilled, others uneasy. Greg pressed on. He wasn't just trying to embarrass Howard, he wanted to make a point about power, hypocrisy, and accountability in media. Each question he asked sliced deeper, revealing the vulnerability of a man who had once seemed untouchable. For a moment, the mask slipped. Howard's voice trembled slightly as he responded, "Greg, you think you know everything about me, but you don't understand the pressures, the sacrifices." His words trailed off. The studio felt less like a TV show and more like a courtroom where the jury was the entire American public. Gutfeld, sensing the shift, paused and allowed Howard to speak. In that pause, a rare moment of humanity emerged. Howard recounted how fame had taken its toll, how he'd lost friendships, missed family milestones, and built walls around himself to survive the endless scrutiny. He admitted to making mistakes, to growing arrogant, and to losing sight of the values he once claimed to champion. The confession wasn't polished or PR approved, it was raw and trembling. And for the first time all evening, the crowd softened. They weren't watching a titan fall anymore, they were watching a man confront himself. Greg, perhaps recognizing the weight of the moment, shifted his tone too. He acknowledged Howard's impact on broadcasting, the barriers he had broken, and the risks he had taken. "But," Greg said softly, "true greatness isn't just about being bold, it's about owning your choices and standing by the truth." Howard nodded, eyes glistening. The exchange stopped being about humiliation and started becoming about redemption. By the end of the segment, the mood in the studio had transformed. What began as a spectacle of confrontation had become an unscripted lesson in accountability, vulnerability, and growth. The audience applauded, not the viral moment they'd expected, but the humanity they'd witnessed. Howard stood up, shook Greg's hand, and gave a small, self-effacing smile. "Maybe I needed this," he said quietly, almost to himself. As the credits rolled, social media erupted. Some called it the downfall of Howard Stern, others called it his rebirth. Clips of the confrontation went viral, but so did the final handshake. People debated, dissected, and analyzed, but one message stood out among the noise. Even the most powerful can change, even the loudest can listen, and even the most controversial can find a moment of humility. In the weeks that followed, Howard Stern released a heartfelt statement, addressing his fans and critics alike. He pledged to return to the values that once drove him, to use his platform to elevate, not tear down, and to mentor young broadcasters with integrity. Greg Gutfeld, meanwhile, reflected on the power of giving someone the space to be vulnerable, realizing that sometimes confrontation can lead to clarity rather than destruction. The episode became a case study in how public figures can face accountability and emerge stronger. It wasn't just a viral clash, it was a story about transformation. And for millions watching at home, it served as a reminder: no matter how high we climb, we're all human. Our mistakes do not define us, our willingness to own them does.